Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, it is time to talk about all of the nitty-gritty and juicy secret details and secret things that were changed in the recent update of Fortnite that brought about the quad launcher, rocket launcher, and also the new disco mode, which is going to be the gameplay for today's video. It is just such an amazing mode. It's honestly a ton of fun. But yeah, for the changes in this video, it's going to kind of be a little bit of a mix of everything. Like I'm talking about a secret version of the ghost portal backbling, which we definitely need to go over, and just go over more details about that in general. But on top of that, we're going to be talking about some certain things with Skull Trooper, a secret with him that you may or may not know about the skin, and then stuff like changes on the map for Halloween and changes to like weapons and how rare they are in game. Just a ton of awesome stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button down below. Always helps me out so much, and I seriously do appreciate it. And on top of that, be sure to comment whether or not you bought Skull Trooper. I mean, come on guys, I know I had to buy it just to be part of the meme, but I mean, it's kind of just a fun thing to have, and I kind of like it, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. So yeah guys, without further ado here, let's jump into it with the first thing I wanted to go over today. And you know what, let's start off with a really cool one. Let's talk about all of the changes that have been happening to the floating island, Kevin the Cube, whatever we're calling it these days. Seriously, we might need to come up with an actual name for the island, like Insane Island. Yeah, I don't know. You know what we should do? Let's do this. Leave your idea for a name for the floating island down below in the comments, and the ones with the most likes, we'll try and, you know, decide from those. But yes, the floating island actually has been changing, and no, I'm not talking about it just moving around the map. Obviously, it has been doing that. It's been moving quite a bit lately, and we'll talk about that more specifically in a different video I have coming up. But the thing I find most interesting about this is the weird, like, growth of these cube-like structures on the island itself. So you guys know these started to appear like as soon as the island started moving around that time, maybe when it reached the first checkpoint, that's when they started to grow. But if you take a look at it now, the cube stuff has grown so much more since the last time we've seen it. And like as you can see here, I'm just destroying the house because like it's all growing mostly in the house, and it's actually kind of interesting. Once you destroy everything, you get a perfect look at everything that's been growing on the island in terms of these structures, and honestly it's gotten pretty big. So this definitely means something coming up, and again, we're gonna have to theorize about that in a different video. But if you guys do this in playgrounds, you can use it as like a little parkour course. It's kind of fun to just jump around on it and stuff like that. But yes, it is indeed growing, and it does mean something, you know, for the story coming up soon. After that then though, let's move on to a big one. Let's track so far what has changed for the Halloween stuff that has been going on around the map, and how that could sort of point towards the actual Halloween event happening soon, and even when it might be happening. Because there's actually like a brand new thing that showed up with this update, which I'll show you in just a sec. But like as you guys already know, we talked about the house in like Pleasant Park getting a ton of decorations and stuff. That is not the only place that has been changing. There's slowly been a ton of other locations that have been getting different things added to them, and I think we're getting really close to the Halloween event actually happening. And when this is all done, that'll be when the event itself happens. So like yeah, let's go through a couple of quick examples of like where things are changing, ones that I'm pretty sure you guys do not know of yet. And you know what, let's just jump into it with like one of the biggest ones, and that is Paradise Palms. Now specifically, the main one is in front of like the dealership. There's this brand new Halloween decoration that we have never seen before this update, and those are the wacky like inflatable llamas that are sitting out in front of the store. And honestly guys, they look awesome. I mean, just take a look at these guys. But yeah, they're super cool. They're flailing all over the place, and it is a brand new decoration. So I'm wondering like how many brand new decorations we can have, because like if you take a look a little bit more around here, you've got the typical stuff. You've got the giant, you know, bus balloon around here, and I didn't know that it actually makes like a bunch of sounds if you get up close to it and you're on epic settings on PC. But on top of that, you got the ghosts at like the stores and stuff. Just the entirety of Paradise Palms is redone, which is very interesting because if you remember, Paradise Palms was the first place to get a hint at Halloween stuff coming around, with that little bit of like cobwebs on this bush right here. So that is something to keep note of. On top of that though, like other locations like Lucky Landing, I can't say for sure if this is like recent or if it happened a week or two ago, but there's like a full graveyard in this portion right here, and you know, you got the other stuff, the other decorations as well around Lucky Landing a little bit, and it's pretty noticeable, but a pretty big change. Keep that in mind as well, because all of these big changes, we've never seen anything like this before. On top of that, the other main location that I have noticed is Lazy Links, which I do believe has changed maybe a week ago, but even then, like this small house over here, they've put in so much work to put in these decorations that even this small house has spiders on it. All of that stuff was set there specifically by somebody at Epic Games, so the detail is just crazy. It's got to mean that some important things are coming. They've never gone into this much detail. And also with Lazy Links, there's a bunch of other things like the blow up witch bushes near the pool and stuff like that. Overall, guys, I think we're getting really close to the Halloween event happening super soon. And I really don't know if any location hasn't really gotten things yet. Honestly, I can't even think of one. If you guys know of a location that doesn't have decorations yet, leave that down below in the comments. And then specifically, when can we expect this, you know, new Fortnitemares event? At least Fortnitemares is what they called the last event for last Halloween, so I'd assume they'd maybe call it the same thing and just call it like Fortnitemares 2018. But when can we expect that? My personal guess, and again, this is just an estimate, but I'm hoping next week on the update that's going live on Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe they bring this stuff around. That's definitely likely, but if it doesn't happen next week, then it would almost have to be the update after that in the following week. And if you guys remember, the last Fortnitemares event started on October 26th, which is pretty dang late because that's really close to Halloween, and already we've seen a ton of Halloween stuff around. They released the Skull Trooper, all of these Halloween decorations. It's bound to happen sooner, I would guess. But either way, guys, I'm super excited for that. After that one, though, let's talk about some weapon changes because these will affect a little bit of how you play the game and maybe strategize a tiny bit. Admittedly, they're nothing huge, but it does have to do with stuff like the explosive weapons and also a couple of other weapons, which we'll go over. But first of all, you got to start it out with the explosive weapons because they actually changed quite a bit with these. And like, for example, here, this has to do with the grenade launcher, the rocket launcher, the guided missile. I think those are the three main explosive weapons that have been changed. But like, starting it out here, you have the rare grenade launcher drop chance reduced from 1.45% to 0.99%. And again, the rare is the blue version, so that's not that crazy, but it is a little bit more rare. However, what's odd about that is that they then go into stuff like the epic rocket launcher has been increased from 0.59% to 0.66%, which, oh boy, that is a huge change. I'm just kidding. That's really not even that noticeable, I don't think, for that one. And honestly, they say the epic rocket launcher is the rarest weapon in the game by far, simply because you never see it. Rocket launchers are so rare in the first place that you barely ever get them out of chests, and most of the rocket launchers that you get are from like supply drops and stuff like that. So that's not a huge change, but you also have the legendary rocket launcher drop chance increased from 0.08 to 0.21%, which is a little bit more interesting. That means you will be probably seeing a little bit more from the legendary version from chests, but you know, because of supply drops. And also these stats, I believe, are for like chests and floor loot. I don't think supply drops. So yeah, on top of that, you also have like the guided missile, the epic version, increased from 0.11% to 0.2%, and then the legendary version from 0.03% to 0.05%. Pretty much never even see it from chests or floor loot, so that doesn't really matter. The only thing that does matter a little bit is the increased rarity of the rocket launchers from, you know, drops on the ground. And then like also with these stats, they do say that the overall number of explosive weapons in game has not changed. However, there's a greater distribution of rarity and variance, which doesn't 100% make sense to me unless they equally nerfed like the chance of getting, say, rocket launchers from airdrops, and this is the sort of make up for that. Not 100% sure, but hey, it's something to keep in mind. But either way, guys, let's move on here to something that's pretty Halloween-like, and that is the Skull Trooper, and something very interesting with him that you may or may not know, but even if you don't know, it's pretty cool. And then also, guys, you know, the awesome backbling, cannot wait to unlock that. There's a cool secret about that you guys definitely need to see, and we'll go over that in just a sec. But first of all, with the Skull Trooper, the obvious one, which I think a bunch of you already know, but for those of you who don't, I had to include it because it is super important. So yeah, with the Skull Trooper re-releasing, there's obviously a bunch of people that were disappointed that their OG skin that they bought a year ago suddenly got re-released. So what they did, you may know that the Skull Trooper and the Skull Ranger have the different variants, but if you owned the Skull Trooper before from last year, you get this special purple version, which is pretty interesting. Not only is it, you know, a completely different color and a pretty noticeable color at that. I don't know if like other colors would have been better. It's sort of hard to say on this skin, but either way, you also get these like glowing trails around the eyes. And personally, I kind of wish I would have bought this back then. I had the opportunity, but I was like $12 for a skin. Back then that sounded crazy. Now it does not. But yes, it's pretty cool. Now then, for the thing that I'm more excited for here, the Ghost Portal backbling, and not just how to unlock it. You guys already know. You've seen that if you have the Skull Trooper, but there's a secret with it that nobody really knows about quite yet. So I knew I had to talk about it with you guys. Now this info is credit to Pseudonym on Twitter. I don't know if he's the original person who discovered this or not, but that's where I saw it. So big thanks to him for the info. But with the Ghost Portal backbling, apparently when you unlock it, you not only get the blue version, but you also get the sort of mint green version as well. Now this picture right here is just a mock-up concept of what it's probably going to look like. Just changed a couple of the colors around. Obviously with the other Skull Trooper related items like the Skull Sickle, you get the different variants, the blue and the sort of glow in the dark green. Also with the glider, you get the same variants. The glider, you don't really notice it that much, but either way, apparently this is is coming to the Ghost Portal as well, which makes me pretty hyped. I'm excited to, try it out. And again, the Ghost Portal only can be unlocked with the Skull Trooper, not the Skull Ranger. That's an important thing to keep in mind. But either way, if you have the Skull Trooper, I thought you guys would be pretty interested in knowing this little fact. But keeping it going here with a couple of other changes, this one right here has to do with snipers. So we'll go through it pretty quick here. And similar to the explosive weapons, it affected the drop rate chances of them. And it is fairly interesting. You've got, first of all, the Epic Bolt Action Sniper Rifle increased from 0.33% to 0.42%, a pretty small change overall. And then after that, you've got the Rare Semi-Auto Sniper Rifle, and that drop chance was reduced from 0.92% to 0.71%. And then after that, you have the Heavy Snipers with the Epic variant increased from 0.33% to 0.4%, which is a very tiny change overall. And then finally, with the Legendary variant of the Heavy, the drop chance was increased from 0.07% to 0.13%. So overall, some very small changes. And again, they say that won't affect the overall distribution of them, but just within like the rarity and variance. Again, I don't know 100% what that means. So who knows, maybe you will see more of these, or maybe just more of the rare variants. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, and also they decreased the common pistol drop chance from 5.8% to 5.47%, which is that's a little bit odd. But let's move on here real quick to the final thing I wanted to go over, and that is the Porta Fortress. Apparently it was taken out of the game. I don't exactly remember that, but it has officially returned. I'm sure you guys have gotten it, but there's also been a change to its availability. So before, the apparent drop chance of the Porta Fortress was 2.43%. After this update, it's reduced to 1.83%, which is a fairly significant change, which when you compare it with all of the other items you can get, makes it a tiny bit less common. So yeah, guys, thought you would find that interesting, but overall, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe for more update news coming out in the near future. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left, my full week 3 challenges guide with the timed trials, and then on the right, going through the top 7 most expensive skins in the game. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.